I think that Europe has a lot of strengths. It has a long tradition in innovation, and which is continuing today. When you look at the number of patents or patent applications that were submitted last year, they were at an all-time high, and this is a true sign that innovation is still at the center of what Europe does today. There are a lot of ingredients in Europe to be competitive. Having said that, I don't think we should be complacent. The US has always been the main competitor, together with Japan, when it came to innovation around the world. What is a more recent phenomenon is that today the emerging countries are starting to invest into R&D, are starting to become more and more innovative, and we had a head start. If we want to be competitive and continue to grow and remain a strong economic power, we need to make sure that we maintain that advantage and therefore renew our investment in the area of innovation. We saw this morning that it is particularly important for the SMEs, but I think even for large corporations it is important. If we could make just one application and have patent protection across Europe, that would simplify our life, frankly. So anything that can help us become more efficient and simplify the way we work will be extremely helpful, and we strongly support a European patent, the concept of a European patent. What we need is really the traditional measures that are taken in terms of incentives, fiscal, economic incentives. Of course, ensure that we talked about patent a minute ago, we have the right intellectual property protection. Of course, we also need a skilled workforce. But I think that an important aspect for us is growth in the internal market. And today, unfortunately, we don't see such growth in Europe. The growth is coming from emerging markets. And clearly, investment in large corporations is a function of the market potential. So I think that if Europe wants to see continued investment from multinational corporations, it has to make sure that it would develop what I would call an appetite for innovation. And because everybody talks about the fact that we need to have innovation, and we all agree that we should do that, but I guess that the simplest way to put it is that we want innovation, we have to pay for it as well. And I think that we don't see that happening as much as it happens in other areas of the world. I think that there is a lot of dynamism in Europe, and there are a lot of small and medium-sized enterprises that are very successful. I think it's more a matter of it being too complex for them to start their activities. And I think that in the areas of high-tech, in our area of pharmaceuticals or biotech, for example, I think that building bridges between universities, the public sector and the private sector would help tremendously. I think we also need to remove all the administrative barriers that exist, and the fact that here, basically when you start a company, you're in one of 27 markets. If you started in the US, instantly you have access to a much broader market, and I think that that's perhaps what makes it easier. But I think that in terms of an entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial spirit, I don't think the Europeans have to learn anything from any other markets, to be honest. I'm fairly optimistic, frankly.